350,000 black women lost their job in the first 6 months of this year. But they talk about, the unemployment rate ticked up a little, but it almost doubled for black people. What DEI was about black women who'd achieved a certain amount being taken from their jobs at one time. DEI has never done to America what GCI did. GCI is greedy, corrupt, incompetent white men. They talk about these things in an abstract concept, and if you look at the fact that black women are the most educated segment of our society, white men are the most uneducated. This was bound to happen. And the fact that there were a lot of black men and Latin men who helped this happen is something it's hard for me to reconcile.
You know what's really concerning to me is that, he didn't like the jobs report.
Right.
The one that he had touted before when it was in his
Right.
favor, right? Trump didn't like the jobs report. And so then he fired the head.
I would say I don't know who needs to hear this, but I do. And it's the 300,000 black women that just got laid off. Pull up and listen for a sec, because your good sister in layoff has been there. And what I want to tell you and remind you of is God is able. Always. I got laid off in 2023 from a huge tech company. Then I got another job. Then I got laid off in 2024, girl. Okay? So that devastation that you feel, that feeling of being robbed, that feeling of I put my entire heart in this shit, I worked overtime, I worked twice as hard, I moved up, I did what I was supposed to do, and you still did this, I know that feeling. That feeling of having your identity wrapped up in a company and you were the girl that worked at X, Y, and Z and now you're not, I know that feeling. And let me tell you that this is just a season. This is just a season. But I want to first acknowledge that it's a devastating season. And I also want to let you know that it is not personal. Please hear me, and I'm going to say that again. Your layoff was not personal. We're not going to get into the reasons because everyone's situation is different, but it wasn't personal. So do not take it as I did what I was supposed to do and still got screwed, so what's the point? Do not let that demon of a thought settle into your soul. Do not. Because that is what will keep you from your next blessing. If you identify as a loser, then you can't get the blessings that are titled for winners. It won't reach your address. Okay? And I want to tell you this. Your belief right now is the partner that you need to your skills. You have the skills. You just need to believe. There are 300,000 other jobs somewhere. I don't care if they're in this country, out of this country, contract work, part-time, start a business, start a consulting, start doing content. I don't care. There is something out there with your name on it. Because if God could find me a job 2 times, I feel like finesse 2 times, okay? In a year, it can happen for you. I know how it feels to go from making 6 figures to filing unemployment 2 times, okay? I know how it feels to go from having a healthy savings to $0. I know how it feels to lose your job with absolutely no notice. There's no 2 weeks. But what I want to tell you is that every time the money ran out, God sent more. Every time. Every time I lost an opportunity, God sent another one. Let me tell y'all that in the middle of my second layoff, little testimony, in the middle of my second layoff, I got a phone call. And I got that phone call 3 days after I went into anaphylaxis from my allergies. First time that had ever happened to me, I almost died in my sleep. 3 days later, I got a call from the producers of Love and Hip Hop Miami to go coach for an episode of their show. They flew me out 48 hours later. That episode didn't air, but literally as my bank account was about to hit 0, that payment hit and carried me over for the next little while. And it let me know God is listening. And he's dropping blessings out of nowhere, y'all. And when I'm telling you, the work that you've done that you think does not matter does. And I'm going to tell you why. When I interviewed for the thing, the producer asked me, have you ever worked with artists or celebrities or anything of that nature? Because you're going to be working with a music artist. I said, yeah, I used to work for a company and I did like wellness programming, and some of the people that we had come in to do mental health and wellness programming were artists. One of them was Ace Hood. Literally, as I said that name, the producer's face lights up and he goes, what? That's my boy. I didn't realize Ace was on the show. Okay, so that thing that I did for free many years ago that I thought didn't matter, and I just did it out of the love of my heart, and I was bitter that then people overlooked me for X, Y, and Z, ended up being the thing that got me an opportunity in the middle of a season that I could have counted as me being out of here. There are 10 million other testimonies I could give you as to how I got back to where I am right now. In fact, I'm at a higher position now than when I got laid off the first time. Because God is that able. He's like that. So I want you to dig back into the bag of your belief and throw off the bitterness that you rightfully have, but you can't stay there. You got to get up. You got to get up. Okay? As Sarah Jakes Roberts would say, girl, get up. All right? I just wanted to drop that on your spirit and encourage you. And if you need some further encouragement, drop down in the comments because I do read those every single day. And as always, Auntie loves you.
I am one of the 300,000 Black women who have lost their job in 2025, and I have some thoughts. It is no secret that being a Black woman in America is ghetto, period, point blank. But being a Black woman in the workforce, the masking that you have to do, the microaggressions that you have to fight, the code switching that goes on, all of the things, the hoops and the mental gymnastics that you have to go through in office, navigating social interactions with your coworkers is exhausting. If I was in office and had braids in my hair, my white male supervisor would loudly make a comment in front of anybody else who was in the office saying, "Oh, you switched up your hair. I almost didn't recognize you." Of course, this in turn makes people turn around, making you feel ostracized, making you feel put on the spot for literally the hair that grows out of your head and wanting to do a different style. Meanwhile, he's over there with 4 pieces of hair and a hairline that search and rescue is looking for, but I'm the one that's being put on display. Right. All of this to say, being part of the 300,000 Black women who have been let go from the workforce, I was a federal government contractor. I feel kind of lost in this moment. I've been applying. You all know how the job boards are looking these days, and I feel so liberated and so lost at the same time. Being in the workforce since 2015 when I graduated from college and working in mainly predominantly white spaces, the more I learn about the nervous system, the more I realize how wrecked mine has been and was, and all of which led up to that in my professional career. And if we even want to take it a step back, going to a PWI, and if we even want to take it a step back, it would be growing up as a suburban Black girl. That the 300,000 Black women in losing their jobs have been able to at least rest more than you have been before. I'm trying to find the balance between beating myself up and frantically looking for a job and actually letting my nervous system take a beat and realize what I had been going through and what I'm continuing to go through and what it was doing to me. And giving myself the gift of a calm nervous system is all I really want at this point, besides a paycheck. It's all I want for myself and for women who look like me. I'm doing my best not to tie my worth to the job that I had, the way I lost my job, and trying not to tie my worth into how quickly I can find a job. And these things happen now more than ever, and that there is a community of women out there that are going through the exact same thing I'm going through. Just trying to find the peace of mind that I need to operate in 2025 as a Black woman. So if you too are part of the 300,000 in the DMV area who have lost their jobs, I'm here too, and I see you because I am you.
Over 300,000 Black women have left the workforce, according to MSNBC, and it is not a coincidence. We have seen the cuts that the federal government has been making, specifically across the Department of Education, Department of Health and Human Services, and we have seen the cuts happen. We've also seen the cuts happen over the last few months, specifically at the federal level and also across the private sector due to DEI. And according to this article, the participation rate has now dropped below Latinas for the first time in over a year. Now, one thing that stuck out to me that I thought was very interesting, which kind of led to the conclusion of this article, is that 51% of households with Black children are led by Black women who are the breadwinners. And the article specifically cites that Black women tend to be the economic foothold of the Black community. This is going to cause a trickle effect, not just across the Black community, but across the labor force as a whole. So they are saying that Black women are disproportionately the breadwinners, the caregivers, and entrepreneurs. And so if Black women are losing out on money, on job opportunities, on grants, on all sorts of things due to being targeted because of DEI and because of ongoing job cuts that are happening both at the private and federal level, that this is going to continue to be a trickle effect across the entire economy. And in the article, it also says for every 1 point drop in women's labor force participation, that cost the U.S. economy an estimated $146 billion. So that means less money being spent in grocery stores, less money being spent on clothes, less money being spent on your hair, less money just being spent all across the board. I've already seen articles that have come out, and in one of the posts that they made, they said that there's a huge increase in parents saying that they are not financially prepared to send their kids off to school, meaning that they're not prepared to pay for school supplies, new shoes, backpack, clothing, socks, all the things that you buy for kids when the school year starts. There are families who are struggling all across the board. So I want to do another post that specifically talks about people, but not just Black people, but all marginalized groups, how we are losing our civil rights, because the Civil Rights Act has been peeled back over the last few months, and not enough people are talking about it, because a lot of people think, oh, well, as long as I got my money, ain't nothing gonna affect me. Okay, when you don't have any federal protections anymore, I don't know what money you talking about. So maybe I'll do another post that specifically talks about the things that we are seeing happening for the first time in over 60 years. Shout out to all the women who are out there looking for employment and making ends meet. And let me know if you're one of the 300,000 Black women who recently lost their job in the last 3 months.
Did you know that in just 3 months, 300,000 Black women and femmes left the labor force? Yeah, in just 3 months. And that's not a coincidence. That's what happens when Trump's policies come for us first. He gutted federal jobs where Black women have always found stability. Things like education, healthcare, public service, jobs that came with benefits, a pension, a little thing called security. Poof, they're gone. And then came the DEI purge. Mentorship programs gone. Employee resource groups shuttered. Networking opportunities blocked. Basically, they've ripped out every ladder that Black women and femmes have used to climb. Student loan debt payments are back and have doubled. Mine have doubled. Black women also carry the heaviest debt load of any group because they're one of the most highly educated groups but don't have the same resources to get through school debt-free. And once in the workforce, Black women and femmes only are making about 64 cents to every white man's dollar. Automation is also taking over jobs where Black women have been overrepresented, while we're excluded from the high-growth tech roles replacing them. And here's the gag. Over half of all Black households with children are led by Black women and femmes breadwinners. I'm the breadwinner for my household, and every 1% drop in women's workforce participation costs the U.S. $146 billion in GDP. So when they push us out, the whole economy loses. And yeah, I'm feeling it personally. I mean, I left my job to do justice work, environmental justice, racial equity, community empowerment. And I've trained orgs, helped build programs, help communities fight back. But many of the organizations that I've worked with have backed away from this work out of fear. And that means that my contracts are vanishing. My income is tanking. And the work that I was told was too important to lose suddenly isn't being funded. And it's especially disheartening because meanwhile, I see fascists that are losing their job for saying something racist, and boom, suddenly they have $1 million GoFundMe. But when justice workers are losing their livelihood for telling the truth, I'm seeing crickets. So if you want this work to survive, and I know you do because you're following me and we're learning together, the workshops, the training, the advocacy, we have to build our own mutual aid work network. And that means supporting people doing the work. My Patreon is open. I even have a $1 level, and every dollar helps to keep the lights on and the work moving forward and the fight alive. Because when we protect Black women and femmes placed in the workforce, we are protecting a just and inclusive future. And surely that's worth a few bucks, maybe. All right. Thanks for listening.
300,000 black women just got let go in 3 months. This isn't a dip or a phase. It's a fucking war on our backs, and too many of y'all still sleep at the wheel. I'm a licensed global strategist, watching the system grind us down while y'all scroll past distracted BS. This ain't sympathy. It's a declaration. They don't want us winning. If you're done being played, share this. Follow for the unfiltered truth. Questions? Drop them in the comments. And if you're serious about survival, lock in the Global Move tools or the Survive in America tools, and lock in your spot for Sunday's event on July 27th. No BS, no excuses. Federal cuts slashing jobs where black women were holding it down? That's not luck. That's a direct targeted hit. Education, healthcare, community roles, the pillars of our survival are getting ripped right from up under us, and nobody gives a damn. They want us desperate, begging for crumbs, and trapped in a system built to crush us. And while y'all arguing over nonsense, the real movers are out of here building global empires and stacking assets that can't be taken. Look, you might want to wake up, and wake up now. You can stay broke and compliant. That's your choice. Or you can step it up, get smart, and secure your legacy. I did not spend thousands of dollars getting certified to hand out free handouts. This is power, packaged and ready, if you're ready to claim it. Stop wasting time. Grab the Global Move tools. Claim your seat for the July 27 event. Or if you plan on staying here, you might want to grab your Survive in America tools as well. You know what? You need to start taking what's rightfully yours. The system won't save you. This ain't no superhero movie. Only you can. The clock is ticking.
300,000 black women have been laid off in the last 90 days just in 2025. This conversation we're about to have is very urgent and it needs to be talked about. I read an article from WBcollective.org that stated that black women typically go into healthcare, government, and education, which have been considered very safe job sectors for us. Under the new administration and all these budget cuts, we have been absolutely affected the most. I don't think this is the time for us to be selling black women courses or telling them to go back to school, because a lot of them have families to take care of and they need support right now. So we need to be looking at ways that we can support all these women that have been laid off. If you are at a job and you're willing to refer a woman, please do so. If you are willing to help funding with them to get their business off of the ground, please do so. My name's Kina. I'm the co-founder of a tech organization. I have also been pushed out of corporate America at one point and decided to branch out on my own here in Chicago. So if you'd like to follow along for that journey, you can find me at NUCORD, and we create community for adults and students looking to break into tech. See you later.
If our history was not important, why would they be trying to erase it? This is one of the biggest disinformation stories happening right now, how they are framing what is happening, right? As long as they can convince us, they can manipulate us into believing that DEI is some corporate classes that suck, right? As long as they can make us believe that that is what DEI is, they can fire 300,000 black women, right? As long as they can make us believe that DEI is harmful corporate classes, they can end sickle cell research, right? They've stopped grants for sickle cell research under DEI. As long as they can convince us that DEI is harmful corporate classes, they can end black business grants, right? HBCU funding, opportunities for generational wealth and success. This is not going to just impact our past, but it is going to affect our future, who our children grow up believing, what they grow up believing is true.